Back on, Gerty rude. Back again, a Monday mood. Well, here we are, and it's actually sunny in Sussex. I'd like the whole world to know that we've got some sun in Sussex. It's amazing, isn't it? So, talking on that subject of Sussex, we've got this person again, haven't we? Not Dan, I mean the Mark clip. She's back, causing more bleeding consternations and all sorts of things. So should we jump in and see what's happening?
Harry and his deranged campaign against the British media,
right,
seeming to completely forget that actually it was Princess Diana who had probably the closest relationship with the British media of any.
I've been accused of talking over the top of people in my reaction videos. Somebody said I sounded like a drunk auntie. Well, to be fair, last night I had a couple of glasses of wine, probably more than what I should have done on a Sunday night. Do you get me, capiche? But I'd had a bit of a trying day, you see, so I deleted that video in case anybody's wondering where it's gone. It's gone. Thanks for everybody that contributed, viewed and left comments. Luckily, the skip through rate was amazing, so it's probably the best thing you could have done is skip through it. Oh dear, poor Gert. Anyway, I'm going to try, darlings, not to talk too much in my reaction video.
Royal in history. But here's what Charles Spencer had to say.
Oh, go on, Spence.
It takes an enormous amount of guts to take on opponents like newsgroup newspapers and great tenacity to win.
Yes.
And it's just wonderful that Harry fought for and gained.
Oh, I'm just working out. This is the one I did yesterday. But I'm doing it minus the 2 glasses of wine, darling, as you know. And just for context, I do put water and ice in it. But it just seemed to have affected me quite badly. So, yeah, we're doing it again, it seems. Because I'm sure I did this yesterday. It's Charles Spencer. He's spouting off as usual. Yeah, he's left his wife for another woman, which I don't know whether I said yesterday. I was amazed. I was amazed that he'd left his wife for another woman, let's put it that way.
An apology to his mother. She would have been incredibly touched at that and rightly proud.
Oh my God.
Now,
Menace.
Angela Levin, I completely disagree
Well,
with
menace.
that sentiment. Firstly, Harry didn't win. I've been calling him the Pussy Prince this week because he was the one that wanted this settlement, having previously said that he was the Dragon Slayer. Well, hell no, the Dragon Slayer ended up being...
He was a knight in shining armour, wasn't he? He saved the Mark clear, and he was the family she never had, or something or other that nobody believes or cares about. Right, let's go.
Prince. But what do you make of Charles Spencer saying that Diana would have been so proud of
Even
Harry?
I remember
Because
this
to me,
bit.
that is such a slight against Prince William,
right,
because of course Harry was so critical of the deal that William did with Rupert Murdoch and News UK, even though, by the way, I think William did completely the right thing. He did it privately and then he donated all of it.
He donated it to Archwell. Should we move on, because I think I did this bit? Let's talk a bit further on. Right, come on, Angie.
Funny that somehow they would think that he'd looked after them as well. I think it's a very, very sad reason why he kept saying no and kept going on. I think he wanted some sort of...
Well, I think he initially thought it, because of his name, it was going to get him everywhere. And I think initially he probably did, because he's quite naive, isn't he? He did think that he would go right on to the end of the bitter fight, or whatever it is, with the newspapers, and then reality set in and he's realised that it's going to cost him millions. And even at the end, if he gets a settlement, it probably wouldn't have covered his legal costs. So this is how the law rolls in this country. And I think he's actually found out himself that that is how it works in this country. And despite his lineage, he doesn't get a swerve once you yourself instigate court proceedings. You see, darlings, that's the way it works. So here we got Charles. Well, he wouldn't let Diana have a safe space in Altrop, would he, if you remember? And they'd had a falling out directly before her untimely demise in 97. So there was that. And obviously he's had the rest of his life to probably think about that, because he denied her the right to have a bolt hole at Altrop because he didn't want the papers and he didn't want the backlash from the royals and this, that and the other, because they all kind of are enmeshed and embedded with each other. And it could have been awkward back then in a way that it isn't awkward now, the fact that he gives his nephew the same bolt hole. To be fair, he does.
Which is particularly grim in my view. But you do think that there's been a big...
Hang on, shush, Dan, a minute. Sorry, darling. The only thing I do admire Charles Spencer for doing is for approaching the subject of CSA, because it happens through all sections of society, not obviously, you know, even somebody like him at a private school that was due to be a lord or an earl. An earl is higher than a lord. So yeah, he was destined for greatness even as a child, and it didn't stop him or protect him in any way from being abused in the appalling way he was abused. And the second reason that I admire him is because he stood up and he's shone a light on the fact that females are abusers in the same way that men are. I've often heard people say, well, yeah, but in those scenarios, it's usually the woman that, if she's involved, will enable it. Yeah, that is a big thing. But there's also a lot of women that actually take part in it. So whether it's SA or just child abuse and child cruelty, it goes across both genders. It's not just a male issue. Do you get me? Wherever you get vulnerable people, whether they're children, minors, elderly, disabled, vulnerable, you always get, it's not a gender-based thing, you will always attract these people that will abuse, for whatever reason. They're just wicked, evil people, bent out of shape, you know.
To Harry, and you can, because obviously you know Harry, you spend a lot of time with him, and you can see it.
She's
in
so
his
pretty,
eyes.
she's
Oh yes, it's a huge change. I mean, just let me say that decision that William made was 1 year after Diana's death. And he said the only way that he could really move forward is if we stopped talking about her to the public, to outward. You know, if we think about it, that's fine, but we've just got to stop that. And Harry agreed with him, but
well, in fairness, he would.
He's found the need to talk about this endlessly now over 20 years.
I don't buy into. I love Camilla before anybody comes for me. I love Camilla. I'm not one of these that believes in blaming any particular party for the breakdown in a relationship or whatever happened between them. However, I have always had a kind of ire with the now king, but he was the Prince of Wales at the time, because I always used to think she was 19 and he was like 32. If you think the variation in maturity, especially for somebody from his background more so, was immense. 32 to 19 is quite, it gives me the ick, to be fair. And he should have been more understanding with her. He should have been kinder with her. Maybe he was in a bad place himself at that time in his life. I don't know. I can judge him, but I was going to say I can't judge him. Well, I am judging him. It's just a shame that all of that happened. And just 32-year-old men shouldn't be going out with 19-year-old girls, period, full stop.
I think it upsets William all the time, but because he's got a happy family, he can manage it. But
right, let's get on. I want to hear this about the children.
And not move. And I think he should know.
Right, never mind that.
And at some point it would be. He's not frightened of opening these things up. And
Trump press to release.
I don't think they can stop him.
I wonder whether he will.
If he did do that,
do you think Trump will? Because that would open a can of bleeding worms, wouldn't it? Eh? I mean, if you're British, you already know what's in the... You know what he's done. You already know. There's no denying it. So... It's a sort of, did he admit to this, that and the other? No, of course he didn't admit to it. But then we all know it's a matter of public record that is how he chose to live his life, and possibly continues to choose to live his life in that way, which is fine. That's fine. If he wants to behave like that, let him get on with it. But I suppose when you're filling in immigration forms or visa forms, especially with somewhere like America, you do need to be a bit more truthful. You do, don't you, darlings? You do. And then if you have lied on said visa forms and got your foot in the door to whatever country it is, and your feet under the table of their culture, which he was doing, don't go write a book and say all this, that and the other about what you've done in the past. I mean, do you know what I mean? He's just... Oh, I think I'll politely call him remedial.
If he lied and he was supported by Biden, then that's absolutely disgraceful, isn't it?
Well, what do you expect from Biden?
And the thing is, Angela, Trump has been incredibly different since taking office. There's no nonsense this time at all.
Right.
He has already pledged.
Oh, please, can we talk about the children?
Decision in terms of the American landscape. He has already pledged to open up all of the files in regards to
oh
the
my
assassination.
God, no one cares. We all know it's Granddaddy Bush. For God's sake, it was all bleeding fitted up from the beginning to the end. And that bleeding bloke, I can't think what his name is. Oh, it's gone now. I'm going senile. You know the bloke, Oswald, didn't he? Him. Yeah, he's just a patsy. It's obvious. And Jack Ruby and all of that. It's just nonsense. I mean, how many times do we have to go through this? Probably if there was anything really incriminating in the so-called hidden papers, they'd remain hidden. So the very fact that he's opening, look at him, he looks like angry Mr. Toad, doesn't he? Oh, Mr. Trump, look at you, angry Mr. Bump. Bless him. Where's Melania?
JFK.
That's him,
I can't wait.
What's his Lee Harvey Oswald?
I know, I'm rubbing my hands with glee, that's for sure.
Lee Harvey Oswald, well, that was his name, wasn't it? That's him there. Yeah. And I mean, nobody thinks of him. He had a life that was, you know, his life, it's just terrible, really, what happened. The whole thing was terrible. But it did facilitate what the powers and the military industrial complex, because very often the people that are the figureheads are only puppets of the dark forces and the unseen people that are more powerful than them behind them. And this is what JFK was up against. He was an early version of Trump, really. He was a Democrat as well, wasn't he? He wasn't a Republican. But anyway, so yeah, there was that to him. And yeah, so he didn't want to get involved in Vietnam, did he? And like about a week after he was dead, if not on the same day, his vice president signed it up, really. So that is something. I've heard it was to do with the mob and this, that and the other. Who knows? I mean, I wasn't there, so I don't know. The grassy knoll and all that.
And
right, can we get all the children?
Heritage Foundation are asking.
Yeah, no, let's have the children now. Who's that? We going on Trump? Right, let's do this.
People wouldn't want, but I think that is it. If they've actually, tried and stopped doing it, then they do
stop doing what?
Let them in. In a way, it's fair.
Right.
And we'll have to wait and see. But I think it's quite a difficult one, as you say. It's,
right, what is?
He upset the Queen so much, and William,
right.
And he has great respect
I like your earrings.
for King Charles as well. And yet...
I mean, look at this. Where did he get all them bleeding medals from? Where's he got the George Cross from? Who give him... Oh, yeah, hang on. Yeah, his granny.
They don't want the Harry that he is at the moment.
Right.
Now, the question I'm going to ask you...
Brainwashed, and he's been groomed.
Do you think if he has to go, Meghan would go with him?
Of course not.
No.
Of course not. There's no way she's coming back to the United Kingdom.
How will he see the children? How will he see his children?
Indeed. And
well, have we got laws about giving people, letting people in the country that have admitted to doing noxious substances? Haven't we got those laws? Or can you just come hither anybody? Oh yeah, pretty much you can, can't you?
This has always been the issue, hasn't it? This has always been the issue. And
you can come over here if you're a genocidal warlord, can't you? Apparently so, apparently. And then you get people that then go on to be the Prime Minister, to be your human rights lawyer. I mean, that happens. I'm not saying he was, but it's been mooted. We don't know, do we? We weren't there. So, yeah, why should we have her over here? And conversely, the American public saying, well, why should we have him over there? They're going to have to... Should we make them an island? I think that's what we should do. Haven't we got a spare couple of islands going on up in the northern, Hebrides or somewhere? We can bung them up there. Mind you, probably there'd be an outcry from Scotland then, wouldn't there? Oh, we can't win. They're in trouble. What do we do with the problem? Like the mark, clit.
Many people, Angela said, don't go to America. Don't let her take your children to America, because once you've got the children in America, there's no turning back.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you've got this really ironic situation where here's a prince and princess, and of course we've spoken on other episodes about the truth about their birth, so I'll leave that for today. But you've got this prince and princess who remain in the line of succession, but their mother, who actually has no birthright, has no royal bloodline, can stop them from returning to the place where they are in the line of succession, which is
but she can only stop them till they're of age, darling, can't she? Mind you, knowing her, she'll be crying on the floor every last minute. Oh, she'll groom them to it, they'll be programmed. They will, linguistically programmed. Neurolinguistics. Oh, those poor kids. Anyway, let's go.
When you think about it, so what if they ever did end up king and queen? They'd have to do so out of
They're not going to end up king and queen.
Ludicrous.
Listen, I'm more likely to end up king and bloody queen at the same time than them lot, so don't worry.
If she hasn't had the children herself, or Harry hadn't been involved, then they can't be in the royal line. You know, they have to have royal blood.
Right.
Those little ones.
Yes.
And without that, there's no chance of them becoming a member of the royal family.
I know, but this is why there's a lot of people like me, like Lady Colin Campbell, saying the royal family can't just keep ignoring this issue, actually, because it's important.
Right, here we are, we're going.
Yes, I think it is, because everything's so
come on, Ange.
unstable, isn't it,
right.
at the moment? And
well, they're unstable.
You don't want things to happen that
she needs a stable.
Regret.
Old nag.
Big time, and of course the mainstream media, certainly Radar Online, starting to pick up on the surrogacy scandal now after it's reporting in independent outlets like this. Angela, just finally, I wanted to show you Justine Bateman. She is the Family Ties actress who really has led the charge in terms of the Hollywood elite turning on Harry and Meghan. She's
when that's the moment you realise you've left your G&T just out of reach. She's thinking, oh no, here we go. More Megalite. So Justine Bateman came out and spoke about the disaster tourism.
Took hold all across the media.
Serious, wasn't she?
Well, she was.
And
she still is. She still is, actually, because she appeared up with Piers Morgan this week. So let's have a look, and I'll get you to react off the back.
Come on then.
Okay.
Let's go.
But first,
no, let's not do that. No, we're not doing that, Dad. No, we're going to react. Right, let's do it.
3 men, actually. And by looking at Ground News, you can see very clearly that it's
the advert. God, this is a real crappy video, Gert.
And for less than a Netflix subscription, you can get all the world's news in one place.
Oh, stop doing that. Let's do this.
For yourself. It really has been a game changer for a news.
I moved it on because it's a long advert.
But now,
sponsorship.
Back to the show.
Page 6 of the New York Post. It's offensive to Meghan and Harry that anyone would think this is merely a photo op. Meghan was born and raised in Los Angeles.
Yeah,
so
Justine.
Always will be home to her.
Yeah.
Her heart is completely broken for all the lives that have been lost, for those whose homes have been destroyed. They're also dedicated countless hours to volunteering long before the media even got wind of their involvement.
BS.
What's your response to their response?
BS.
I don't know who these people are. I don't know why they were walking all over possible human remains, because there were people missing, right, in the ashes. I don't know why there was this official mayor of Pasadena tour. The whole thing is
stinky,
really
smelly,
so
fishy,
out of place, so ridiculous, so tone deaf. And it was, like I said...
Right, so... we all know what she thinks of Meghan. And what was Barry doing there? You'd think he'd have been brought up better to know better than that, wouldn't you, really? Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Do I know what I mean? It was disgraceful, but we're kind of... It's par for the course with these two grifters, isn't it? Any time that anything happens, up they go... You know, they're like whack-a-moles, aren't they?
They were like disaster tourists.
Bog off.
What's important, like I said, is that we help the people who have been devastated by these fires.
So, Angela, she is not holding back. And
because obviously the attention was taken away from the people, and they were in a situation where the fires were still raging. I'm given to believe that they are still raging actually in varying places. So if you're in that situation, you don't expect to have to stop all the whatever it is you're doing because somebody's coming to visit the area, and it is disaster tourism. It wasn't the right time and it wasn't the right place. So that's my opinion.
I mean, I know it's just changed, hasn't it?
Mm.
Yes, I mean, when someone says that about being stone deaf,
well, they're stone deaf anyway. They're stone full stop.
Because they appear not to listen to that or hear it at all.
No, they're gormless.
And Megan certainly doesn't, and she hasn't through all these years she's been with Harry. No. She doesn't take it in, and a lot of people are too scared to tell her. And you know, you would.
You should give it to me. I'd tell her straight. I would. Listen, love, wind your bleeding neck in. Stop posing around and looking for the camera. You bleeding daft old malt. You know, they got enough problems. They don't need you there gurning away, looking gormless.
If you've got any common sense,
I'm here in the ashes.
You were not.
Let's have a photo. There's nothing like a disaster. We'll have a nice photo opportunity. Look at us. We're all getting our photography picky taken with the marklet in the middle. Is that Barry Barrington? Yeah, put that mask back on, love. And actually get your missus to stick hers back on and keep it on the old horse bag, innit? So there's that to it. And obviously this whole thing here is actually inappropriate. I don't know how the people felt at the time. Maybe they were just hanging around the area and was like, oh, do you want to have a photograph taken? But in retrospect, I'm wondering, because I know what I'd say if I was there. I'd be like, F you, you know? So, yeah, this is a mystery. Or a couple of them look to be coppers or emergency workers. The other people might have been volunteers. Or they may even have been in Meghan's entourage, because it does rather appear that she turned up with an entourage. So we're not sure who these people are, apart from you can see that some of them have got uniforms on. The others, as I say, is that other lady maybe press corps? I'm not sure. But they could be actually people that have turned up with the megalite. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell with these grifters.
To be there and to stop people working.
I'm glad she's having fun.
Fires,
Look at her. She's having fun. She's out for the day. There's cameras. Everyone's going click, click. Oh, dear. I bet she had to lie down when she got home that night. Oh, I bet she was exhilarated. Oh, dearie me. I bet the adrenaline was pumping and she felt like Mother bleeding Teresa all night. Yeah, she did. Oh, Barry was hoping to do something rather untoward to Mother Teresa that night, but that didn't work out either. So anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you and do this, and wherever you are in the world, have a great afternoon, morning, evening, good night, and I'll catch you again soon. Bye-bye now.